I live in a sewer, ashamed to wait till after the sun falls to come home through the manhole and rise before the night flees.
After having rehearsed the music for about a month and a half, the band and I went into the studio for a weekend, 3 days, Panhandle House Studios in Denton, Texas, and we recorded the entirety of the album in just those 3 days. It was crazy. I mean, you think about how most artists, you know, whenever they're doing a project of this magnitude, within the studio, it's just like they're in there for about a month, you know, 2 months, that kind of thing. And we did everything in just 3 days. It was a crazy weekend. We had what we called our Monster Day, where we recorded just the rhythm section and the horns for every single track on the album, just straight through. And then we had kind of an overdub day where we did all the vocals and strings, some of the horn solos and that kind of stuff. It was an awesome experience. It was just so cool to kind of see how some of that music that we'd been rehearsing kind of ad nauseum could have gotten stale in our minds, but, you know, going to a studio environment that was new and just kind of seeing that music blossom into something, it was given new life that we hadn't seen before. And everyone was there was just kind of an overwhelming graciousness for kind of how the music was turning out. It was sounding really awesome, just right out of the board with no post-production or anything like that. Some of those songs, you know, I kind of grown attached to each one in a different way. But kind of after the studio process, it wasn't really like that anymore. Like a lot of the music that was recorded, I don't know what it was, but I think, you know, after we all got in there and we just, you know, that Monster Day that we had where the rhythm section just banged out every single track that we had on the album, each one of them kind of had new life in it, you know, had this kind of new, polished persona on it that, you know, I was falling in love with every single one kind of all over again. After kind of hearing them off, I was feeling like the way that these guys played this music, they all sound amazing. Any one of these songs could be a hit single. Yeah, one thing about this album that I didn't really realize until we actually started recording it was that there's so many different colors on the album, and there's so many different languages, and there's so many different ethnicities and diversities and opinions and viewpoints and cultures, etc., etc., etc. I mean, from the beginning of the process, that was kind of my hope with this project. Even in the music, I think that's kind of obscurely represented because we've got fusions of all sorts of genres. I mean, of course, you know, there's kind of hip-hop in there, you've got jazz, you've got funk, you've got pop, EDM, avant-garde, experimental. I mean, you've got everything. And so I think, you know, hopefully that will be one of the hooks to the album, is that this album is diverse and it's got all sorts of different tastes, different palettes, and hopefully we'll be able to draw a crowd, an audience of listeners that kind of represents that as well. So yeah, we had a couple of guest artists come through for the project. One of them being Street Hymns, battle rapper. I told him when we were in the studio for the short amount of time that he was there, but that I was kind of starstruck. And kind of having him, he recorded a verse on When Love Lost. Having his kind of voice on the album, that was super cool for me. And we have Dylan Chase. He recorded a verse on The Way of Memories. I mean, he not only have I been a fan, but he has become a very strong role model. A big thanks to both Street Hymns and Dylan for featuring on this project. I think their presence bumped up the level of this album significantly. Then we also had Sydney Stewart, who did a vocal work on Gratitude's What I Have For You, and she wailed. She killed it. She was awesome. Great voice. Great personality too. And also, I'd be remiss to forget Emmanuel. From when Toshi hit me up all the way back in June 2015, Emmanuel, I hit him up pretty much that same week and told him that I was going to need some help. I didn't realize how much at that point. I thought, you know, it's just he could kind of tune in on a few tracks and kind of help me make sure that everything is good and sounds good and that kind of stuff. But I mean, his role has magnified in importance over the past 3 months. I mean, he would give sound advice, his ear was in tune, and he heard all the little things that needed to be fixed and could be fixed, and he let us know. And he was also just a great friendly presence that was super positive and really important to keeping everyone calm, chill, focused, etc. I mean, I could never thank Emmanuel enough for what he's done in helping create this album. He is a huge name for this album.
It's not the end so long as I'm living, and I'm the giver of life, so no need for anxiety.
So finally, here's a huge thank you to everyone who's been a part of the process. Matt and Caleb on filming, our recording tracking engineer, Patrick Peringer, Panhandle House Studios for having us in the first place. Morgan Wallace on vocals. I mean, she did a killer job on all the vocal work on the album. We've got the band, the horn section, Simon, Mitch, Spencer, Ben, Cole, Howie, the rhythm section, Popham on drums, Josh, Luke, hashtag Paulies on keys, Roger, Toshi, of course. You know, UFO Funk Band is probably some of the best musicians I will ever get a chance to work with. And I'm totally content with that because they're some of the best musicians in the entire world. They killed it. They killed it on the session. They killed it this entire process. Man, every single one of those guys was dedicated and totally passionate about music. And, you know, I mean, I think the audience is going to hear that this album's going to be great because of what they did. Any musician can be confident in the music that he puts out, but at the end of the day, we still have no idea how the people are going to react. We don't know who's going to grab onto this, what kind of audience, you know, what kind of listeners, what kind of genre. We don't even know what genre to put on the album itself, just because it's kind of so diverse and some of the stuff is a little bit out there, you know, for your average listener. I think I speak for everyone who's been a part of the project when I say that we can't wait for the world to see what Thani and UFO have to say.